Hi dudes, Climax 4 explain here. Today I will demonstrate to you a 2020 action comedy film titled Okay Madam. The movie starts in 2009 in Mongolia. Two agents from the North Korean Special Forces, Magnolia and Cheol-seung, are breaking right into a hotel filled with enemy agents to thieve some intel. While Cheol-seung covers her back, Magnolia searches the room, only to be interrupted by a call from her father telling her to get out of there due to the fact some men are after her and she can't believe anybody. But before he can say more, he's shot by an intruder. Cheol-seung finishes looking after all the enemies and goes searching out his partner, but when Magnolia sees him, she recalls her father's words and shoots him before escaping via the window. Years pass and it's now 2020 in Seoul, South Korea. Mi-young wakes up early to open her Twisted Donuts store and sells all of it fairly quickly, allowing her to close the shop in good time to visit her husband Seok-won. He's a computer repairman working in his own shop while drinking lots of juice. He's bought a bunch of little bottles because there are special prizes on the caps. When Mi-young notices this, she scolds him for having wasted so much cash, although she does like the sound of having a new laundry device. While Seok-won helps his latest client, Mi-young decides to have some juice as well and is stunned to find a surprise under the cap. The first prize, a trip to Hawaii. At first, the couple celebrates their luck, but their mood changes when they return home. Mi-young has decided they aren't going due to the fact they can't afford to spend money on a vacation and close their shops for a whole week. Instead, she'd sell the cap on the internet and use the money to buy a new laundry machine. The other individual in a bad temper is their daughter Nari, who arrives at home as Mi-young receives a text with awful news. Nari has hurt a fellow student again. She gets yelled at and spanked for it, causing her to cry and confess she's worn out of being made fun of for being the only kid in class that doesn't have a phone or goes on vacation. Hearing this makes Mi-young feel very bad, so after putting Nari to bed, she has a talk with Seok-won and accepts to visit Hawaii so their daughter can have something nice in her lifestyles. As Seok-won celebrates the decision, he by accident kicks the old laundry machine and makes it work again. The subsequent day, the three of them get their passports done. Meanwhile, a mysterious woman that also has a passport and a plane ticket ready receives a call that tells her it's time for her to get moving. In some other part of the city, Cheol-seung additionally gets a call telling him Magnolia has resurfaced after 10 years and that she'll be going to Hawaii soon. His orders are to capture her alive. When the day of the trip ultimately comes, Mi-young still makes a decision to work, that way she can take some more money with her. They take the airport shuttle instead of a taxi, so they arrive late at the airport where other passengers for the same trip are gathering. Cheol-seung, the mysterious woman who is maintaining her face hidden, and Special Agent Kim Ha-rim and his gang, who are here to seize Magnolia too. Luckily for the family, they come right before the gate closes, so they are allowed to board. Not only that, but since there are 2 remaining business class seats, the clerk improvements their tickets for free. Mi-young and Nari take the business class seats at the same time as Seok-won stays in economy. The plane is filled with interesting people like steward Hyun-min, who thinks keeping an eye out for suspicious behavior and maintaining an eye on everyone's safety is a part of the steward mission, Congressman Jang Pil-joon, and a worried man that is flying because his bosses sent him, so he takes a bunch of pills to keep his fear under control. Once the plane takes off, the enemy agents begin strolling around the plane to see if they can find Magnolia. The mysterious woman notices this and goes to hide in the bathroom while Hyun-min brings some snacks for Mi-young. He by accident drops the nuts when he's about to serve them, but Mi-young catches them all by using exceptional reflexes. This makes Hyun-min think she may be a spy or a national security agent. Meanwhile, Seok-won befriends fellow passenger Book Kook-sung, who is traveling alone to go to his daughter and granddaughter, even carrying a teddy bear with him to gift them later. Back in business, Mi-young is having stomach cramps, so she goes searching out a bathroom after locating her husband and telling him to keep an eye on their daughter. The first restroom is taken by the mysterious lady, so Mi-young goes farther into the plane to search for another stall and comes across the special agents, who haven't been able to find Magnolia and fake their waiting in line when they see Mi-young coming. While she ultimately finds an empty stall, Ha-rim goes to talk to Cheol-seung, telling him they can't discover Magnolia but they have not checked the business class yet because they don't have get entry to it. Cheol-seung thinks they can't wait anymore, so he gives orders to begin the operation. Hyun-min overhears one of the men receiving such orders, but when he attempts to tell the other steward, she doesn't trust him because he's always playing fake to be a spy. The enemy agents hijack the plane then. Cheol-seung takes a steward as a hostage and goes to see the captain to make him alternate the destination of the aircraft. Meanwhile, his men search the plane so they can put every passenger together in the same sector. The clumsiest one of the gang is in charge of checking the bathrooms and misses Mi-young due to the fact she doesn't answer when he knocks. Next he checks a room at the back and ends up locked inside when the aircraft does a sudden turn and pushes a card in the front of the door. Pil-jun believes they're here for him because he's a crucial politician, but the agents do not care and send him to sit with the rest of the economy passengers. The South Korean National Security Service gets the news of the hijacking, but for now they live calm due to the fact there's an agent on board. Unfortunately, that agent is the worried man. He's taken so many pills that he's fallen deeply asleep and won't awaken even if shaken, so the agents simply drag him with the others as if he turned into a doll. Cheol-seung notices the mysterious lady in the crowd and makes her discover her face only to find out she isn't Magnolia. She's Ahn Sira, a well-known actress that is attempting to travel without getting any attention. In the meantime, the National Security Service believes they've found the cause why the aircraft is being hijacked. Magnolia defected North Korea and got here to the South pretending to be Chinese and has been categorized as a person of interest since then. There's one detail they overlooked though. She got plastic surgery to change her look and start a new life with a new name and face. It turns out, Magnolia is now Mi-young. When one of the men hears her in the toilet, he attempts to capture her, but her fighting instincts kick in and she quickly knocks him out. While thinking what to do next, she hears Cheol-seung's voice on the speakers asking for Magnolia to expose herself. So Mi-young starts a evolved remembering how her life quick changed over 10 years ago, shooting Cheol-seung and escaping, meeting Seok-won and having their daughter. She doesn't want to lose her family, so she makes a decision it's time for her to fight again. While she sneaks around searching for a good entry point to execute a plan, Seok-won decides he also have to do something to check on his wife. After leaving his daughter with Cook Song, he sneaks out of the economy sector while the men go around retrieving everybody's phones. He finds a dropped laptop and takes it with him before going down a hatch that leads to the server room. There, he connects the PC to the system and hacks his way in to gain control of the aircraft. Meanwhile, one of the men takes Hyun-min to the steward area, commanding him to discover and give him the passenger list. Hyun-min notices Mi-young is hidden in the ceiling, so he takes extra lengthy to discover the list to buy time until Mi-young sees an opening and jumps on the agent to knock him out. Mi-young then asks for the passenger list, which Hyun-min has been hiding in his sock all along, to check it and burn it in the microwave. Next, she dresses up as a steward and gets Hyun-min's smartwatch for communication, since he'll be going to the back room to discover the tasers they keep there. Mi-young enters the first economy area that is now empty besides for one of the agents, but one man isn't a problem for her and she speedy knocks him out. Afterward, she enters the sector wherein all the passengers are being kept, and since her daughter is there too, Mi-young takes a random individual's sun visor to cover her face before beating up the agent looking over that area. Hyun-min reaches the server room and reveals Seok-won sending messages to the National Security Service about the scenario, so he tries to ambush him, but it turns out Hyun-min is a secret agent too and effortlessly stops his attack. He's frustrated because the higher UPS don't want him to get concerned since he's retired, so Hyun-min lets him know about the other agent on their side and takes out his phone to call his smartwatch. Because Hyun-min loves to play spies, the voices get distorted through his app, so Seok-won and Mi-young don't recognize each other while they talk. The chat doesn't even last that long because Mi-young hangs up as quickly as Seok-won begins scolding her on the proper way to deal with a scenario like this. Afterward, he overrides the plane controls to put it on autopilot and fix its destination while Hyun-min eventually reaches the back room and unearths the teasers. He additionally finds the man that locked himself in advance taking a nap. Cheol-seung, who has been with inside the cockpit keeping the captain at gunpoint, notices the alternative direction and checks the security cameras. As soon as he sees Seok-won messing with the controls, he rushes to seize him. Meanwhile, Harim finds Mi-young and begins fighting her. He's a lots better opponent than his guys, so it takes Mi-young longer to knock him out, but after a couple of close calls and losing her mask, she manages to defeat him. Her victory doesn't last long though. Cheol-seung shows up with Seok-won as his hostage and tells her husband has always been a government agent. As stunned as she may be, this still isn't sufficient for her to let him get hurt, so she stops the knife Cheol-seung throws at Seok-won, making him trust she's been under national security protection all this time. Cheol-seung ties the couple up and sends them away to be locked up, which means they have to walk through the passenger region. Nari sees them and begins crying, so Kook-sung offers her the teddy bear to distract her. Cheol-seung still notices this and springs to check on her because perhaps she could be a useful hostage too, but Nari lies and says Ahn-sira is her mother. This causes a commotion across the crowd since the actress never stated a child in public, and Ahn-sira tries to deny it, but Nari comes closer and whispers a request for assist in her ear, so Ahn-sira accepts to lie for her sake. In the back room, Mi-young is concerned that her marriage is a lie, but Seok-won wastes no time in telling her the full story. He used to work as agent ages ago and he was assigned to surveil her, but he's now retired. He fell in love together along with her the day he was following her around and accidentally got harassed by a few bullies. Mi-young had saved him and shared her food with him, and Seok-won knew then that he did not want this to be a job anymore. He does not care that she's Magnolia or that she used to kill humans, all he cares about is that she's his wife and the mother to his child. Such unconditional love makes Mi-young cry. Back to the passengers, one of them unearths the knife Mi-young had saved her husband from and uses it to free people's hands, but they can't do much before one of the agents comes back in. The actual surprise, however, comes when two passengers unexpectedly stand up and beat the agent up. These two guys are under Harim's orders, and they join their leader in the cockpit, where they kick Cheol-seung and tell him they're in charge now. Unlike Cheol-seung, who wants to take Mi-young back to the government officials, Harim desires to sell her to the highest offer. And while Cheol-seung wanted to go away with her and let the plane do its thing, Harim wants to take her with him with the parachutes but also make the plane crash due to the fact he doesn't care about civilians' lives. Cheol-seung attempts to stop him but Harim's men quickly take him down and carry him away while Harim forces the pilot to make the plane descend at a high speed. While all the passengers start to panic, Cheol-seung is taken to the back room with Mi-young and Seok-won. Mi-young takes the chance to impeach his intentions, so Cheol-seung proceeds to give an explanation for his mission. His government wants him to discover Mi-young and take her back because there's a group of fellows that need her to access the vault with the nuclear weapons her dad had made, since the lock can only be opened by her iris. She isn't sure if he can believe him after he attempted to shoot her 10 years ago, but Cheol-seung says that wasn't true. He was on her side and he had been backstabbed by the others like it happened here on the plane. Their talk gets interrupted by Hyun-min, who unexpectedly enters the room through the ceiling shaft. With his help, everyone is released and gets back on business. Seok-won returns to the server room to regain control of the plane's autopilot mode and stop it from falling while Hyun-min turns off all the lights. Then, Mi-young and Cheol-seung go back to the passenger area to take on Harim's men. The fights are pretty equal, but whenever the bad men would gain the upper hand, the passengers would help our heroes by hitting the men with whatever object they could discover nearby. Thanks to everyone's support, they defeat the guys and capture Harim. Now the entire family can reunite, but the trouble is far from over. Pretending to comfort her, Kook-sung gives Nari the teddy bear and grabs her as hostage. Then he shoots Cheol-seung before confessing he was the man that killed Mi-young's father, and he will kill her daughter as well if she doesn't come with him. Seok-won tries to hurt him with one of the tasers from the plane, but it doesn't work, so Kook-sung shoots him as well. Mi-young admits she has no other desire than to accept his terms, so she hugs Nari goodbye before putting on the parachute. Kook-sung forces the plane door open and Mi-young offers Nari a signal to throw out her teddy bear. She had whispered these commands to her while she hugged her, and now, she pushes Kook-sung out too as the teddy bear explodes at a good distance away from the aircraft, taking Kook-sung with it. Thankfully, Seok-won is alive in spite of everything thanks to a bulletproof vest Cheol-seung had shared with him before they separated to execute the plan, so the family reunites once more for good. This time, speaking of Cheol-seung, he grabs the parachute and, after wishing the family to be happy and have a good life, jumps off the plane to return so the authorities can't get him after they land. All the enemy agents are tied to their seats and the National Security Service is contacted to tell them they're okay now. The pilot gets orders to return to South Korea to process what took place. But Seok-won can't accept this. He desires to go to Hawaii. Pil-joon doesn't approve of this idea and attempts to pull rank, but at that moment, Hyunmin unearths the taser on the floor and at the same time as checking it out, he presses the button and accidentally knocks Pil-joon out. Ahn Sira reminds everybody that if it wasn't for Mi Young they had be all dead, so the captain changes his mind to grant her wish and changes the course to Hawaii, telling the government they're low on fuel as an excuse. As soon as they come in Hawaii, the family goes to have fun on the beach, and Seok-won gifts Mi Young a ring so they can renew their vows. He additionally admits he's been saving money for 10 years for this trip and the winning cap had been faked by him. Furious, Mi Young chases him across the beach for having spent a lot money while Nari relaxes under the sun. Meanwhile, the plane has been emptied besides for one person, the nervous man, who is eventually waking up and finding hundreds of missed calls and messages asking him to take care of the hijacking scenario. A couple of weeks later, TV cameras show up at Mi Young's shop. To thank her for saving the aircraft, she's being gifted a free trip to Disneyland. This excites Nari, but her parents freak out because they don't want to get on an aircraft anytime soon. And that's it. If you are a lover of similar content like this, take a look at my distinct videos, and if you love it, please break the like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification horn. Catch sight of you in the successive video.